Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to subscribe, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, in a world filled with gods and adventurers, we follow our MC, Belle Crenelle, who flees from a minotaur in the dungeons. Having been cornered, Belle is saved by a gorgeous blonde adventurer, Eyes Wallenstein, who Belle falls in love with at first sight. Rushing all covered in blood to the guild, Belle calls out to one of the receptionists, Aina, who scolds Belle for venturing to 5th floor of the dungeon, but Aina does admit that Belle is quite lucky to encounter and survive a minotaur attack. Suddenly giddy, Belle asks to know more about Eyes, surprising Aina as Eyes is part of the prestigious Loki Familia and is currently level 5, compared to Belle who is only level 1. Aina coldly mentions how Belle has no chance to reach Eyes the Sword Princess, but cheers him up, reminding Belle that he has his own Hestia Familia to worry about, plus Belle can sell the gems he acquired venturing through the dungeon. Exchanging his 3 measly gems for 1200 Valis, Belle gets inspired hearing Aina advise him to get stronger, rushing through town as Belle recounts the tales his grandfather would tell him involving a hero that would save a damsel in distress. Rushing into an abandoned church, Belle greets his goddess, Hestia, apologizing for worrying Hestia, as he knows he is the sole member of the Hestia Familia. Relieved, Hestia reveals some fresh fried potato balls, having acquired a part-time job, impressing Belle. Enjoying the meal, Belle wonders if Hestia has recruited any more members, but Hestia apologizes for being such a lousy goddess, having thought of using her divine arcana powers to attract more adventures, but Hestia knows it's forbidden for gods to use their arcana in the human world. With Belle reassuring Hestia that there is no rush, Hestia offers to update Belle's status, giving up a drop of her blood in order to see how Belle's stats have improved. As Belle tells Hestia all about his encounter with Eyes, Hestia begins to get jealous, but suddenly spots something in Belle's stats, printing Belle's stats onto a piece of paper. Looking over his stats, Belle is impressed that his agility increased due to all the running he did from the Minotaur, but sadly Belle still has no aptitude for magic, asking Hestia if he has gained any skills yet. Hestia tells Belle that he's yet to acquire any new skills, but as Belle heads off to get ready for bed, Hestia congratulates Belle for acquiring his first ever skill, Realis Phrase, a skill that speeds up an adventurer's growth as long as their urge to grow remains strong. The next morning, Belle adores Hestia for cuddling with him, but is forced to swiftly leave, seeing as their position is very embarrassing. Heading through town, Belle suddenly bumps into a maid, Cyr, but upon hearing that Belle's belly is grumbling, Cyr gifts Belle her lunchbox asking that Belle visit their restaurant later that night. Having made it to the dungeon, Belle begins carving through the monsters, racking up several gems and even an item drop, shocked to see so many monsters appear, but upon imagining Eyes cheer him on, Belle gladly charges headfirst into the swarm. That night, Belle is amazed to see his stats have increased by 160 points in total, amazed that his health, strength and dexterity all improved in a single day, asking Hestia if she knows the cause. Grumpy, Hestia says she'll be heading out for tonight, sitting all alone sad to see that Belle has already found another girl to cling onto. At the same time, Belle revisits the restaurant as promised, greeting Cyr as she introduces Belle to Mia, the owner of the store. Mia begins serving Belle tons of food, frightening Belle as he begins checking to see if all the food is within his budget, but at the same time, several high-class adventurers from the Loki Familia enter the restaurant, followed by Eyes herself. As Belle admires Eyes from afar, one of the other members, Bat, begins recounting a tale of a pathetic boy fleeing from a minotaur, only to be saved by Eyes herself, but Reverio orders Bet to be quiet. With Bet demanding to know if Eyes thinks the boy is pathetic or not, Belle suddenly rushes out of the restaurant, not wanting to hear Eyes' answer, but causes Cyr and Eyes to rush after him, losing sight of Belle. Having entered the dungeon, Belle begins fighting creatures all throughout the night, yearning to be stronger in order to gain Eyes' approval. As the sun rises on a new day, Hestia is seen waiting outside the church for Belle, shocked to see Belle all beaten up, but is relieved to hear that Belle wants to grow stronger. Patching Belle up, Hestia once again updates Belle's stats, terrified to see Belle has once again grown so much, but Hestia reasons she should do all she can to support Belle. Revealing to Belle that he is growing at an alarming rate, Hestia tells Belle that she'll be gone for 3 days, cutting to later that day where Belle has returned to the restaurant, apologizing for last night, only to pay for the food last night. Mia is relieved that Belle is a stand-up guy, watching as Cyr shyly hands Belle another packed lunch, but Mia takes the chance to remind Belle that staying alive is his #1 priority, instructing Belle to ignore the people laughing at him, giving Belle the motivation to continue trudging forward. That night, we follow the gathering of the gods, watching as various gods like Ganesha, Takamikazuki and Hermes are amongst the crowd. Just then, the goddess of beauty appears, heading straight towards Hestia, finding Hestia adorable for stealing and snacking on some buns. At the same time, Loki appears, rushing towards Hestia, only to insult Hestia for being so poor, but Hestia reminds Loki that she is still so flat. Having succeeded in scaring Loki off, Hestia cheers up spotting Hephaestus, asking for a favor, but Hephaestus refuses to lend Hestia any more free valice. Reassuring Hephaestus that she's a changed goddess, begging Hephaestus to craft a weapon for Bel, but at the same time we see Bel admiring a very expensive blade. Running into the god Mioch gives Bel some potions, asking Bel to take care of himself, but back with Hestia we see she is still begging Hephaestus for a custom weapon. Hephaestus wonders why Hestia is so desperate this time, learning that Hestia is dead set on supporting her one Familia member, convincing Hephaestus to personally craft Bel a weapon. With Hestia promising to pay off the weapon over time, we cut to Bel 3 days later, sad to hear that Hestia has yet to return. Hearing his name being called by Anya and Ryu, other maids of Mia's restaurant, Bel learns that Seer is attending the Monster Philia festival, but has forgotten her wallet. Bel promises to deliver said wallet, learning the festival is held by the Ganesha Familia, showing off various monsters they've captured from the dungeon, but at the same time we see Loki demanding to know what Freya has planned for the upcoming festival. Freya utters that she simply wants to see a poor boy grow, uttering that his light was unlike any other, but suddenly Freya gets up to leave. With Hephaestus finished crafting Hestia's blade, Hestia begins heading out, running into Bel who has also made it to the festival. Excited to be reunited, Hestia takes Bel out on a date, both sharing an intimate moment, but at the same time we see that Freya has set a particular monster free. Back on the surface, Hestia is disappointed to hear that Bel was looking for another girl all along, but they both suddenly spot a massive monster escape from the nearby arena. Shocked to see the monster chasing after them, Bel and Hestia hide in a secluded area, but are surprised to see the monster have followed them all the way. Seeing the monster reach out towards Hestia, Bel is reminded of the Minotaur, this time rushing head first towards the beast, but Bel's sword shatters upon slashing the monster's tough skin. Buying some time with a flashbang, Bel flees with Hestia through several more alleys, choosing to lock Hestia behind a gate, only to order Hestia to flee as Bel chooses to distract the monster. Flashing back, Bel remembers the day that his grandpa had passed away, mortified to hear that his gramps' body was nowhere to be found. Having decided to become an adventurer, Bel was shunned and refused by every Familia, but was lucky enough to have met and been accepted by Hestia. Elsewhere Ganesha learns of 9 captured monsters escaping, ordering his men to collaborate with other Familias to hunt the monsters down, but back with Bel, we see that he has lost another one of his blades, defending against the beast. At the same time, Hestia is seen running through some underground tunnels, remembering that Hephaestus had told Hestia that the blade she crafted will grow with Bel. Near the entrance of the festival, Aina and Misha learn of the Ganesha Familia wanting any adventures to support with slaying the rampaging monsters, coincidentally running into Aiz and Loki. With Aiz immediately slaying one of the monsters, we cut back to Bel who has finally been cornered by the monster, accepting his fate as he's relieved that Hestia escaped at least. Sadly, Bel suddenly spots Hestia appearing from an alley, forced to rush to Hestia's side, as the monster suddenly aggroes onto Hestia. Scolding Hestia for not fleeing, Hestia reminds Bel that they are family, attempting to hand Bel her gift, but Bel is forced to flee with Hestia as the monster is right on their tail. Spotting a fake wall, Bel and Hestia manage to find some time to rest, prompting Hestia to suggest that Bel slay the beast with his new gift. Unsheathing his new Hestia knife, Bel is amazed by the blade's engravings, all whilst Aiz finishes slaying all but one of the monsters. Choosing to update Bel's stats, Hestia is amazed to see Bel has already acquired over 600 experience points, but the light from Hestia's update allows the monster to locate Bel. With some words of encouragement from Hestia, Bel leaps over the monster, amazed to see his blade cleanly cut the monster's chains and armor. Running circles around the creature, Bel spots an opening, piercing the beast's heart in one movement, garnering the applause of the townsfolk and Hestia. Having just made it to witness Bel's heroic feat, Aiz heads off right as Hestia collapses, only for Freya to appear, apologizing for endangering Hestia and Bel's lives. That night, Bel is seen at the restaurant, thanking Seer and Mia for allowing Hestia to rest in one of their rooms, but Seer apologizes for forgetting her wallet and dragging Bel into all of this mess. Before Seer leaves, Seer comments on how charming Bel was when he slayed the beast, but just then Hestia calls for Bel, relieved to see Hestia is alright. Sharing a moment, Bel confirms that the Hestia knife is indeed a special blade crafted by Hephaestus herself, bringing Bel to tears as Hestia promises to take care of paying off the expensive blade. Several days later, Belle reports to Aina that he's been hunting on the 7th floor, shocking Aina as she confirms that Belle's stats have reached mostly E and D rank, but Aina refuses to allow Belle to continue deeper into the dungeon with his low-tier equipment. Deciding to go out the next day, Belle is flustered to see Aina in such a cute outfit, reminded that Aina is still 19 years old. Seeing as Belle needs some armor upgrades, Aina says they'll be heading to Babel, a shop owned by the Hestia Familia. Upon entering one of the floors, Belle is blown away by the very expensive-looking gear, but suddenly they run into Hestia, who has picked up a job to repay Hephaestus for crafting Belle the Hestia knife, but Hestia takes the chance to warn Aina to not flirt with Belle. Heading to another floor, Aina reveals that not all items are super expensive, as beginner blacksmiths tend to sell their items for pretty cheap, exciting Belle. Sifting through some boxes in the back, Belle stumbles onto some fine-looking armor, reading that Welf Krazo is responsible for crafting the armor. Seeing as the armor is within his budget, Belle declares that he'll be purchasing some light armor, but Aina takes the chance to advise Belle to either join a party or hire a supporter. As the sun begins to set, Aina hands Belle an additional armor piece, asking Belle to live for her sake, but this makes them both blush. Heading back home, Belle bumps into a young girl, spotting a man chasing after her, only to stop the man from harming the girl. At the same time, Ryu appears, scaring the man away, but Ryu reminds Belle to be careful all whilst the girl listens. Suiting up with his new armor, Belle makes his way to the dungeon, suddenly running into a familiar-looking supporter girl, but the girl reveals herself to be a beast girl, different from the human girl Belle bumped into yesterday. Learning the supporter's name is Lilaruka, Lily reveals that she is quite poor, guilt-tripping Belle into hiring her for the day. Making their way through the dungeon, Belle effortlessly slays the monsters in their path, impressing Lily as she wonders where Belle acquired such a rare-looking knife. Making some small talk, Belle learns Lily belongs to the Soma Familia, but gets distracted extracting gems from the monster corpses. That evening, Belle reports to Aina that he had teamed up with a supporter from the Soma Familia, but Aina brushes aside any suspicion seeing that Belle had made quite a lot with Lily's support. Before Belle leaves, he realizes that he had lost his Hestia knife, cutting to Lily, who is seen trying to sell Belle's Hestia knife, but is disappointed that the blade will only sell for 30 Valis tops. Confused as to why Belle's blade would be worth so little, Lily spots Ryu and Seer heading her way, swiftly concealing Belle's blade, but Ryu suddenly demands to know where Lily acquired such a blade. When Lily tries to claim the blade as hers, Ryu calls Lily's bluff, scaring Lily away, but coincidentally Lily runs into Belle. Having chased after Lily, Ryu and Seer greet Belle, returning Belle's Hestia knife, but Ryu gets flustered as Belle shows Ryu his gratitude for finding his Hestia knife. Seeing Belle's knife glow only when Belle handles it, Lily is shamed by Seer for trying to take advantage of Belle's kindness, but is shocked to hear that Belle wants to work together again. Heading into the dungeon the next day, Lily notices that Belle has placed his Hestia knife underneath his arm's armor plating, both grinding until sunset. Stunned to have earned 26,000 Valis in one day, Lily notes how Belle achieved what a party of 5 level 1s struggle to do, shocked to hear that Belle will gladly split their earnings 50-50, both agreeing to work together more. At the same time, we see Freya watching over Belle, heading over to retrieve a book, wondering what more Belle can achieve in the future. Check out one of our other videos on the screen or in the info card above. Subscribe, like and comment.